Security. Congresswoman, good to see you.
Great to be here.
Let's start with migrant crime. It's happened in Florida, various parts. I just did a story about a reminder of what happened in Palm Beach County not too long ago, where a woman was sexually assaulted violently. You've got to be worried about this. We know Joe Biden has flown migrants into Florida under the cover of night by the hundreds of thousands. What's the pulse like in your state now?
You're right. Floridians and really people across America are gravely concerned about this administration's policies and what they have brought to our communities. And one of the things that President Trump did so effectively tonight was to talk about the southern border and to draw that clear distinction between his policies while he was in office that kept our border secure and the absolutely disastrous policies of the Biden administration and the tragedies that have happened across America as a direct consequence of our failure to seal the border. So President Trump was very strong on this point. Tonight, he talked repeatedly about his policies that we know work and the Biden administration's choice to dismantle those policies and what it means for America. He was very clear that we would have a border that was strong, sealed, and secure when he's back in office. And that is something that really at this point is important to all Americans, regardless of their political party. And I think that's one of the overall most important things he did tonight was talk about things that are unifiers, concepts like freedom and liberty and prosperity that are going to appeal to voters across party lines, as well as those traditional Republican voters.
Congresswoman, let's talk about the weaponization of the DOJ against former President Trump and others. He hit on that tonight. The Supreme Court, we know, they're also set to rule on presidential immunity soon. If he doesn't get it, my prediction is get ready for this in the future. More and more presidents getting the same exact treatment. They also won't be able to govern effectively. They're constantly going to be looking over their shoulders because they think a prosecution is going to come down against them. What do you think about this?
I agree. And, we have seen the ultimate example of a politicized prosecution with Alvin Bragg and his case in New York. That is a case that should never have been brought, that had no foundation in law or fact, and is such an example of the abuse of the legal process against President Trump. And so I absolutely agree. If we don't have limits and we don't have protections, this is something that I think will proliferate, and it will be it undermines our system of justice. And, as a former prosecutor and judge, I care so deeply about ensuring that our courts and our justice system are used properly. And I'll tell you, the people in New York and across the country, these activist DAs, they should be prosecuting the violent criminals. And instead, what we see them doing is adopting policies that let violent criminals, predators, back out on the streets, back out on bond, to then go and recidivate. And so instead of this focus on politicization and weaponization of the justice system, they need to get back to doing their jobs, which is to prosecute criminals and to keep our communities safe. President Trump came through time and again tonight, focusing on law and order. We're a nation of laws, and we're going to support the men and women in blue, support law enforcement, give them the tools that they need, and just get back to a focus on common sense criminal justice policies and community safety.
Congresswoman, let's get back to the crisis of migrant crime. President Trump says he's going to set up a mass deportation of many of the illegals who have come into this country. I kind of feel like if something like that doesn't happen, that 15, 16 million of these people have come through. Not all are bad people. That's not what we're saying. But we're seeing what's happening to our women, the way they're being brutally attacked. If we don't have some form of a background check and deportation of these people, I don't think this is going to stop. There's 15, 16 million people here now.
Well, President Trump said it well. He said, we have no choice. And that is exactly what is confronting America now. He touched on tonight the problem of human trafficking, the horrible things that are happening to women and children and people that are coming across our border. Because since we have failed to control it, we've empowered the Mexican drug cartel. So, at this point, we have these millions upon millions of people who have come to our country illegally in a way that is contrary to our law. And some of the things that we see it being affected is our economy, our community safety, our social programs. And I've been down to the border now several times, and we hear from people who live down down there, whether it is a first responder, a school teacher, a nurse in a hospital. Our social safety net systems simply cannot support all of a sudden an influx of millions of people. And that's even before we get to the message that we're sending around the world to those who want to come to America and have been waiting for years to do that legally. So we're in a position now, because of Joe Biden and because of his disastrous border policies, that we now have a mass scale problem that must be addressed in order to take care of our American citizens. So, absolutely, it's something that I think we need to have all options on the table to figure out how we are going to solve the crisis that Joe Biden has created.
It's got to be solved. We cannot have a outstanding country, a first world country, with these kinds of things happening. It's just that's not going to work. Something's got to be done. Congresswoman Laurel of the great state of Florida. I lived in Fort Lauderdale for 3 years. Tremendous state. Thanks for coming on.
Great to see you.
Okay, folks, now an important message from our very